I'm going to take us into the history of Christmas and winter celebrations.
Hmm.
This article in particular comes to us from history.com and is just a history of the celebration, how it's evolved over the years. But what we're going to do on the nonprofits, because we are a non-sectarian show and we believe in cultural representation, we're going to talk about what some other folks have done to feel good during the winter. Because believe it or not, Christians do not own Christmas. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural event. Belongs to all of us. And if you look around the world, it seems like a lot of folks, a lot of different cultures seem to have just a sort of a Christmas celebration, if you will, a Yuletide feast. It's almost
Mm.
like when it gets dark early, people need a reason to feel good. And so we're going to talk about how some other folks who didn't borrow nearly other tenet of their theology from previously existing religions and
Yeah.
cultures. We're going to talk about what some of them had to say about Christmas and what they did. Now, Johnny, I know you had some prolific notes, so I'm going to throw it over to you first off.
And as I catch it that you've thrown over to me, okay, I'm going to actually toss it back at Cynthia and Jason because I want to talk very
Ooh.
briefly about and that was a good thing. But I want to talk about some of the history because I know there's some really interesting things that Cynthia and Jason talked about with the formation of the Christmas celebration that we have. Um,
Okay. Johnny with the flea flicker.
it's a
Okay,
little
fair
flea
enough.
flicker. No. It's like I've got it. I've caught it. I'm like Master Yoda. I caught your force lightning and I'm holding it for a little bit. All right. It's still here. It's still here. And I can feel it tingling. It's running up my arm. Running up my arm. And when I can't handle it anymore, we're gonna go into the thing that you toss back at me. But can we talk a little about Cynthia? I see something about the Christmas holiday origin story, like Halloween and Samhain. What's all
Yeah.
this then?
So, if you all would remember when we did our All Hallows Eve show, which
Spectacular.
I
it
do
was
remember
it
that.
was quite spectacular. It was.
I do remember
Jason, you
that.
were there. I
Oh
remember you
yeah, I
were
was.
there. Matter of fact, we had a confessional afterwards because you were dressed for the occasion,
Yep.
and
Oh,
we
the
did
things I learned too.
indeed. But I was just thinking, like, when I was reading this particular article about, like, some of the origin story around Christmas, it to me it was quite similar to All Hallows Eve or Samhain in the way that the church, and I would say like the historical church, like the Catholic Church, once, like, Christianity became more a prevalent religion, actually rolled in pagan traditions um, in order for you to get Christmas, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think that, like, all of us are very familiar with some of the sentiments that come with Christmas, like the Yule tide, and I
Hmm.
and I even remember, like, growing up singing the 12 days of Christmas. That was a staple that my choir master, when I was in Catholic school growing up, made us sing. I hated it. It was a very long song, but I always
Yeah.
wondered where it came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the article actually, yeah, it talked about how um, the Yule log, which is actually a Norse tradition, um, was said to burn for 12 days. And, this is something that, was actually a a tradition that was, like, utilized around the solstice, like the winter solstice, right? And then, you hear now, even commercially, the whole 12 days of Christmas. I know that even for myself and my family, we do, like, keep our Christmas decorations up until January 6th, because we're lazy, and it was like, well, it's the 12 days of Christmas, so we should do that, right?
Yeah.
So but, like, who knew that this
Well,
was
you
actually tied to this.
well that's one of one heck of a log to burn for 12 days. I'm
Indeed.
looking here. I'm looking in here in your notes. I'm going to pilfer from your notes just to
Pill
because you got some good
pilf.
stuff here.
Indeed.
Pilfin. The Norse believed that each spark from the fire of the Yule log represented a new pig or calf that would be born
Yes.
during the coming year.
Mhm.
That's interesting. And you said, I'm wondering, that could be another layer of when the story of Jesus's birth was set in a stable with other animals while laying in a manger. I think that's interesting. You also talk about Odin. Can you elucidate, to use a J Mike word, elucidate about Odin?
Sure. So, the article also talked about how the marriage of some of these pagan myths, came with Christmas traditions. It talked about how Odin believed that he made a nocturnal flight through the sky, rather, people, um, and the people would observe him flying, doing his dashing across the sky, rather. But you know how like we growing up think about Santa and his sleigh tied time periods with his eight reindeer. You got
He's got him.
Dasher and Prancer and Prancer. Okay,
Donner and
forget it.
Blitzen,
Forget that.
Comet and
Yeah,
Cupid. Yeah.
Donner and Blitzen. Yes. But that was like a time for us, like we would get all excited because we would, imagine Santa and his reindeer in the sky. But,
Mm.
during the times of Odin, that was not the case. Nay.
What did
Actually,
Odin do?
well, people actually believe that when he was doing his dashing through the sky, that he was actually observing people to see if he would decide if they would prosper or if
Oh,
they would perish.
That seems
Odin's
pretty
watching.
capricious.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
just
Always
glances
watching,
down. He's like,
checking.
whatever you're doing now, that's your fate for the next year.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
At least
and with one
Santa
eye,
watches you all the time.
and
Right.
without depth perception as well.
Right.
Right.
You know?
But
Right?
The
he
liberal
could
eye
have. He
all
was a.
seeing.
Well, he could
All-seeing
have had
liberal's eye.
depth of perception. Odin is a god. He was a god. Thor's daddy.
That's true.
Thor's
Thor's.
no Mew Mew around, but
Nope.
doesn't matter. He was like thundering and lightnings, and then he was trying to see like who was going about be off this earth, or if you're going to actually have riches or untold health or things of that nature. And I was
Yep.
just thinking, like, could this be a correlation between he's making a list, he's checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty or nice, Santa Claus is
Yeah.
coming to town.
Odin
Find
god
out
is
the
coming to
ultimate
town.
punishment.
That's right. Well, you've got something else here about Juvenalia, and also and something else. Tell us about Juvenalia.
Yes.
Won't you?
So, also, according to the history.com article, that Romans, okay, we always wondered, like, how did we get the whole Yudiggy about December 25th being depicted
Yeah.
as the day that we celebrate Christmas, right? So the Romans observed that Juvenalia, a feast honoring the children of Rome. In addition, members of the upper class often celebrated the birthday of Mithra.
Mithra.
Mothra, yes.
That is
Mothra. Wrong
Not Mothra.
series.
Yeah, wrong series. Mithra. Yeah, right. We're not talking about Mothra or Gamera. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Mithra, okay? And Mithra was an infant god that was born of a rock. Rock of
Yeah.
ages, care for me. And for
Yeah.
some Romans, Mithra was the most sacred day of the year. And not to
Mithra's
mention
birth.
that, yeah, Mithra's birth.
Mhm.
And now, not to mention that Rome has been the center of Christianity, at least, the worldwide propagation of it, right? Matter
Mhm.
of fact, I even learned that the word propaganda is an Italian word that actually came out of the Catholic Church. Did you know
Bene.
that? Did you
I
know
did
that?
not. Bene.
Now you
Didn't
know.
know that.
Molto bene.
Molto bene.
Jason,
And-
I'm seeing. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh, no, I was even going to mention that, this Juvenalia was also like a celebration that was like almost like a Mardi Gras. It was very celebratory, a lot of, eating and drinking and, a little debauchery going on, little something, parades, all that great stuff. And
Yeah.
also Saturnalia was
Saturnalia.
correlated. Yeah, Saturnalia was actually also correlated with this particular celebration, and it sounds a lot of fun. I think that I want Christmas to go back to that.
I think Juvenalia is for the juveniles, for the kids, for the little kiddies out there.
You got to think about the kids.
Got to think about what about the children? Jason, I saw something in your notes, a little lump of coal in your stocking, because you were pointing out that the ideas, the celebrations of Christmas and Christmas time are not original to Christianity. That they were.
Oh, no,
you don't say.
They were.
Yeah, I mean, it has always seemed that Christmas and a lot of Christian holidays are, well, they're marketing decisions, as the great philosopher George Carlin once said. And so, yeah, they would take, as I said, all these different little holidays, these little tidbits of mythology, because the Bible doesn't say the exact date as to when Jesus was supposedly born.
Right.
You do get a little bit of Luke 2, verse 8 through 11, which is used on the Charlie Brown Christmas special. What is Christmas all about? This very vague and non-committal passage that people will go like, well, that just fills me with the Spirit somehow. So how do you shore up your numbers? Because in the early days of Christianity, what have you got? You don't have a lot of anything other than just people saying, hey, but if you get some of the holidays and you kind of expand upon it, and that's where you get the holidays becoming debaucherous and then actually getting banned in Britain and in Boston. It was banned in the 17th century.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the banning. We're gonna get to the banning, because there's a war going on, and I hope that your windows are blacked out right now, because I'm in the civil defense and there are air raids right now happening. Anti-Christmas air. But anyway, I'm seeing in the notes, I'm seeing Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, Nate.
You are.
What on God's green flat earth are you talking about with Coca-Cola? What does that high fructose corn syrup drink have to do with Xmas? Nate, tell me.
I'm gonna get to Coca-Cola, but this just dawned on me as we were speaking. This wasn't in my notes, but it just dawned on me that there's a certain verse in Jeremiah that states that you should not be like the heathens, and you should not cut down the trees and adorn them with jewels. So, if there's gonna be a war on Christmas, maybe y'all should read your own book first.
Maybe
it's kind
of
das ist verboten in seinen Büchern. But anyway,
you could do that, or you could.
I don't have any jewels. I think I'm all right there.
I have silver.
It's shiny baubles.
But I have shiny baublings, but I don't subscribe to Jeremiah, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah, but talking about Coca-Cola for sure. For Coca-Cola, Nate, I want to hear about Coca-Cola. Why? What does Coca-Cola have to do with Christmas?
Coca-Cola has a lot to do with our current conception of Santa as a jolly fat guy in a red suit and a beard, and that Coca-Cola. It was the first to depict him this way in an ad in 1931. Before that, he was quite a severe-looking fellow. I wanted to see if we could get a picture of like the pre-1931 Santa Claus, because he kind of looks like Waluigi. I don't know if there's any other Nintendo fans out there, but he's like a thin, rather severe-looking man. And then Coca-Cola comes out, and in an effort to obviously sell cola, they rebrand him as this image. And then over the years, I was reading that they actually tried to rebrand him a couple of times and sort of change his image, and people would write him and be like, that's not Santa, that's not my Santa, this is America, I need my Santa fat and eating cookies, damn it.
America.
Not my Santa.
Not my Santa.
So this is
hashtag not my Santa.
hashtag not my Santa. Yeah. So like this whole conception of what Christmas and Santa is really it's just a really successful marketing campaign, kind of
Yeah.
like what Jason was saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed. Well, that's in the United States, but the
Mhm.
other parts of our planet are our other siblings who live on this globe, and it's a globe.
I
All
hear
right.
I hear there are dozens of other people that live outside of the United States.
Wow, they're actually
Tens of other
tens of
people.
Tens of
dozens.
dozens.
Maybe.
There's actually people
Possibly.
that live outside of the United States. Really, pray tell.
I can't prove it, but I did a little bit of research into full disclosure. I fucking hate Christmas. All right, I don't like Christmas, and if other people do, well, that's jolly good for you. I don't. I like New Year's. I like Halloween, but I went through and I went on Britannica.com and I typed in winter solstice celebrations from around the world, and I found some really fun ones. Soyal is a Zuni and Hopi Native American holiday to honor the winter solstice on December 22nd, with a ceremony to lure back the sun god who has traveled away from the tribes during the winter. It also marks a new cycle of the wheel of the year. It's a time of purification, and there's a festival. Damn right. 16 days, prayers, supplications. That's not so much fun. But there's stories and there's a feast. Who doesn't like that? People dress up in masks and they do all kinds of fun stuff. And children are given dolls that represent the Kachina spirits as gifts. The Persian festival Yalda, or Shab-e-Yalda, is a celebration of winter solstice in Iran that started in ancient times. It's the last day of the Persian month of Azar. It's traditionally the victory of light over dark and the birthday of your friend and mine, the sun god Mithra. Families have special food like nuts and pomegranates, and they stay awake all night long to welcome the sun. That's kind of like going to midnight mass, but with nuts and pomegranates. Inti Raymi is a solstice celebration that comes in June. But why, Johnny? Why would a solstice celebration celebrating winter come in June? Well, I'll tell you, because it's in Peru, and it's an Incan celebration in honor of the sun god. It was celebrated before the conquistadors showed up and ruined everything for many people. The Spaniards banned the holiday, but it was revived in the 20th century, and they're still doing it today. So good for the descendants of the Incas. I've got something on Saturnalia. One thing that I would mention is that there was a social inversion that took place as well, where slaves were briefly quasi-freed from their Roman masters. That's got to be a slap in the face. But also we have Dongji, the arrival of winter, an important festival in China. The family gets together and celebrates the wonderful year they've had. And that's between the 21st and the 23rd of December. They think it started as an end of the harvest festival, with workers returning from the fields and enjoying the fruits of their labors with family. And they have special foods, such as, I know, Nate, you're always talking about Tang Yuan, glutinous rice balls, and how your family, you stay up so late making those glutinous rice balls.
So much gluten.
So much
much.
gluten.
Give me that gluten, boy.
One of my favorite holidays that I learned about some time ago was the holiday of Sol Invictus, which sounds like a metal holiday. Unconquered sun was long considered the official sun god of the later Roman Empire, but basically it's the sun victorious, the sun conquering the darkness. And that's some interesting history there. And if I may be indulged, and stop me if
You
I
may
may
be.
not be indulged. All right, or one
You
person
may
has
be.
indulged me. I've got some
I will
fun.
indulge you as well. Indeed.
I have a
Go ahead.
majority of the indulgent. Jason, would you be willing to join in the indulgence, or are you going to
I
be a
suppose.
naysayer?
No,
All right.
you can indulge.
A semi-reluctant indulgence on the part of Jason, but I think you'll like this. In Norway, they hide their brooms for Christmas. Why? Because evil spirits and those wicked witches will fuck up their brooms Don't ask me why. It's something they do. In Finland, it's customary to strip naked and take a long and respectful stint in the sauna, where there's a legendary sauna elf. This sounds pretty good. And then after the sauna, they go out, the Finns go out, and they go out to the evening celebrations, and they believe that the spirits of their ancestors hop in the sauna. So they get like the second steeping in the sauna
Are they
water.
still naked when they go out?
Yeah.
Probably. It's Scandinavia. They do everything naked in the snow.
In
I
winter.
see.
Yeah.
In winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Johnny, do
Oh, dear.
Iceland. Do Iceland. Do Iceland. Do Iceland. Do
Well,
Iceland.
okay, I'll go over to Iceland. A giant cat is said to roam the snowy countryside at Christmas time. Farmers would use the Yule cat as an incentive for their workers. Nothing's changed. Those who worked hard would receive a new set of clothes, but those who didn't would be devoured by the gigantic cat-like beast. And to this day,
Why I keep telling people that cats are evil. Obviously,
Yes.
Iceland agrees with me.
well, in Caracas, in Venezuela, they go to church on roller skates, and the capital is pretty much closed down until 8 a.m. so it's safe. In the Netherlands, Dutch children place their shoes by the fire in hopes that Sinterklaas will fill them with small gifts and treats.
Sinterklaas, yeah.
Sinterklaas.
Oh,
Sinterklaas
And-
is
Here's your
coming.
stocking.
Carrots are left in the shoes for Sinterklaas's faithful steed, a white horse named Amerigo. In olden days, naughty children would receive a potato in lieu of gifts, but potatoes don't cut it anymore. In Austria, that's where the tradition of Krampus comes, and we all know about Krampus now because it's made it into popular culture, where Krampus carries the wicked children off to hell, I guess. And there's a lot of them. One of my favorites.
Did you just say
is,
it's a lot of them? Did you just say that there's a lot of wicked children?
There are a lot of wicked children.
There are a lot of
Okay.
wicked
I have-
children. It's not
I
their,
have 3. Okay,
it's not their
I've-
fault.
I've
It's,
sired 3 of them. So yes.
what
there
do
are
you
a
do
lot
if
of
your kid is a brat, pampered and spoiled like a Siamese cat?
wicked-
It's the mother and the father.
You go to
Catalonia.
Iceland. You go to
Catalonia
Iceland,
in
that's what you do.
Spain. This is one of my favorite ones. I learned about this about 10 years ago. Cagatillo, or defecating log. Locals in Catalonia create a character out of a log. They draw a face on it, and they give it a hat. Then they spend 2 weeks feeding it fruit and nuts and sweets. And on Christmas Eve, the family beats the log with sticks and sings a song that translates to, if you don't crap well, we'll beat you with a stick until the log excretes all of its treats. How that happened, who knows? But and then they pull the presents out. I know they pull presents out from under the blanket.
Okay.
That's fun. Why?
That's
like-
just all that is just a way to say that you should take your probiotics and make sure that you are regular. That's all that is.
Yeah.
That sounds. That's just basically a Hansel and Greta pinata. And I am down. I am fucking down for a Hansel
start
and
it up.
Gretel pinata.
Start it up. Start it
New
up.
tradition.
So what?
Let's do it.
New tradition.
Startup, Hansel Gretel, Hansel and Gretel.
Here's one you might
pinata.
not want to do. In Greenland, they eat matak, a raw whale skin with a little blubber, and kiviak, which is made by wrapping an auk, which is a small Arctic bird, in seal skin, burying it for several months, and eating its decomposed flesh.
Oh, vegans need not
So-
apply.
Right.
Vegans need not show up. Guatemala has a holiday called La Quema del Diablo, the burning of the devil. And so they believe that the devil and other evil spirits live in the dark, dirty corners of your home. So what they do is they spend the week before Christmas cleaning the living shit out of their house, and they put it all outside, and then they burn it, which is, good excuse. In South Africa, they eat caterpillars.
Yummy.
Which, a lot of good vitamins in there. In New Zealand, they don't have pine trees. So they have the Tukawa tree, a beautiful tree, and they decorate their community with these trees and decorate there. In Sweden, the Yule goat, which is, I assume, cousin to the Yule
Ooh.
cat and neighbor to the log, goes back to at least the 11th century. A man-sized goat figure led by Saint Nick, who had the power to control the devil. In the 7th century, it was popular for young men to dress as the goat creature and run around pulling pranks and demanding gifts. This sounds like a little bit like Halloween, actually, and
That
it
sounds like
sounds good.
Devil's Night. Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah.
By the 19th
Marrying a
century,
Sanheim. Yeah.
the goat became the good guy, sure, and a giver of
Okay.
gifts. Instead of Father
I like
Christmas,
that.
men in the family would dress up as the goat and give gifts. That's nice, isn't it?
I like that. I do too. Yeah.
In the
That's cute.
Ukraine, they would throw an artificial spider and put a web on a tree. And this tale has its origin in an old tale of a poor woman who couldn't afford to decorate her tree and woke up on Christmas morning to discover a spider had covered it in a glorious, sparkling web. And remember, they eat flies and gnats and things like that. So be kind to your
Again, this
spider.
sounds like a Halloween thing again.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Again, marrying
Wait,
a
so is this
Sanheim.
the origin of tinsel?
I don't know. I mean, where is it from? It was Ukraine. So I don't know.
It could be. Could
be. All
Those
Ukrainian
Russians are a
viewers.
festive bunch. Those Slavs are a festive bunch.
They are. They love a good winter solstice.
Looks like
In
it.
Portugal, Consoda, the traditional Christmas feast in Portugal, families sometimes set extra places at the dining table for their dead relatives. It's thought that the practice will ensure good fortunes for the household. In some areas, crumbs are left on the hearth as well. That's like pouring one out for your homies a little bit, isn't it? Something like that.
No.
Word.
No.
Word is born.
But I need you all to move on. Let's go to Italy.
In Italy, La Befana, the old witch, delivers presents to kids in Italy. The story goes that 3 wise men invited the witch to accompany them to see the baby Genghis. And she said she was too busy. Well, so now she has to deliver presents to everybody else, I guess? Sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
why not?
Why not?
That's good penance.
Women's
Yeah.
work is never done.
Yeah. Czech Republic. On Christmas Eve, unmarried Czech women, it is said, stand with their back to the door and toss one of their shoes over their shoulder. If it lands with the toe facing the door, it means that they'll be married within the year.
Hold
So
on.
that's
Let me see if I can I try that real quick? You wanna
Yes.
test this? Okay.
Well,
okay,
you
I
have
got-
to
I
stand with
gotta-
your
Do it, Cynthia.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
Come on.
Well, I mean, like technically, I'm by a door, so let's just see. What is it? The toe is supposed to meet the door.
Don't engineer it. Just throw your shoe. Let's see what happens. Do it.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's look. What's going on?
Well, it said 1 year, right?
No.
Well,
If it
you gotta
lands
look,
with,
and then
you
it'll
have to
predict
look.
the future.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Look at the
Okay.
shoe. Where's it facing?
Okay, it's facing. Shit. I think it's facing out away from the door. So damn it, I'm still not gonna get married.
Well,
Damn.
that's all right. And the last one, and then we're gonna stop with this sleigh ride of traditions. On the evening of December 5th, German children leave a boot or a shoe outside their bedroom door. In the morning, if they've been good little kindern, they will wake to find the shoes filled with sweets. That sounds
Wow.
like St. Nick's Day with the stocking on the thing.
Yeah.
If they haven't,
Yeah.
they will only find a branch. And I love these old traditions where it's just potatoes and branches and like homey country stuff. Germans also hide a pickle in their Christmas tree.
Why would you do that?
That
Probably-
doesn't surprise me.
Probably because they were drunk.
Okay.
Could be.
Oh,
Could be.
no,
Pickles are good.
possibly.
Pickles are good.
I like,
They
I
are
like,
not.
I
They
like
are
dill
not.
pickles, so maybe
No.
I do
I
too.
guess.
Pickles
Yeah.
are disgusting.
More
What?
pickles for me.
Yep.
More pickles for me, Jason. Than
Oh my goodness.
Oh
I
no,
love
dill pickles are really
pickles.
good,
Mm.
Jason.
Cynthia likes
What?
pickles. Nate likes
Yes.
pickles. I like pickles. Jason, not even a
Johnny.
little bit.
No, not
Jason?
at all.
Oh,
It-
Jason is objectively wrong and has never truly enjoyed a tuna salad sandwich. There, I said
take,
it.
You take a pickle or you take a cucumber, piss all over it, it becomes a pickle. No thanks.
That's
No,
not
that's not
not
really
give.
how that works,
Right.
but
Take a
okay.
you don't know the phrase, take a pickle, eat it up, and all year long you'll have good luck. You've never heard that before?
I think that's a made up phrase.
People are saying it.
I'm
Well,
pretty sure
that's
that's a
how
made up
I'm
all
phrase.
saying it.
phrases
Johnny's
that's how
saying it.
all phrases start, Jason. They get made up. Hey, Johnny.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yes, Cynthia. Yes.
One of the things that I also discovered in the article was how enslaved people in that was in chattel slavery actually celebrated Christmas. I was wondering if it was okay for me to kind of go over that just a tad bit.
Oh, please do.
Okay, so many enslaved people partook in some holiday pleasures. Christmas time could be treacherous. According to Robert E. May, a professor of history at Purdue University and author of Yuletide in Dixie, Slavery and Christmas, and Southern Memory, owners' fears of rebellion during the season sometimes led to preemptive shows of harsh discipline rather. Their
Mhm.
buying and selling of workers didn't abate during the holidays, nor did their annual hiring out of enslaved people stopped as well. And some whom would be shipped off away from their families on New Year's Day, widely referred to as Heartbreak Day. But
Hmm.
on the flip side of that, there were some breaks actually that was given to enslaved people during this time of year. So many enslaved workers got their longest breaks of the year, typically a handful of days, like maybe 6 or 7 days, and some were granted the privilege to travel to see family or even get married, and many received gifts from their owners and enjoyed special foods rather,
Mhm.
untasted the rest of the year. Like things that they can actually get their hands on, that they created themselves, and even like was even given like better foods around this time of year to be festivalness.
You know what gift would have been really great to give them?
Mm.
Their fucking
You know,
freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh,
Just saying. Just saying.
Right?
Sherman's March to the Sea. Sherman's March to the
Eventually.
Sea.
Eventually.
Go
Yeah,
fuck
yes,
yourself, Confederacy. Yes.
yeah.
Um,
On top of special field order 15. Indeed. Continue. Just
yeah.
look that up,
That's
y'all. Just look that up.
yeah, that's interesting. Something you don't learn about in school. The history of the folks who were living here in bondage. And that's interesting. And look at those gifts. Look at that kind-heartedness, that circumscribed kind-heartedness that didn't change the status of the folks living under those conditions. Um, but I don't know. That's a downer. But you know what? That's something we need to know about. So thank you for bringing that in.
Hashtag go CRT.
Gosh, yeah, go CRT.
Go CRT.
And with that said, um, any last thoughts upon Christmas traditions and winter solstice traditions in the United States, Canada, and the world?
I just wanted to mention that,
Mhm.
the article mentioned "Twas the Night Before Christmas,"
Yes.
the popular poem.
Hmm.
I didn't know that an Episcopal minister, Clement Clark Moore, actually wrote that poem. Uh,
I
and
didn't either.
and every year, as I have mentioned, I grew up as an Episcopalian, and
Mm.
that during midnight mass. Around Christmas, that particular poem was always read.
Hmm.
However, we never really got through the history of it. So it was kind of interesting to find out that this poem was composed, and that's kind of where some of the foundation of even how we looked at jolly old Saint Nicholas first started. So read
Well,
the article, people. Read the article.
yeah, things start like we were saying earlier, like things that's made up. Well, everything's made up. Everything that we
yeah.
do is made up. The world is the real world, but human culture is a made up thing in large part. There was an article I tried finding it, I couldn't find it. It was just talking about just the whole idea of why we celebrate solstices. Some people's thoughts on it. But when you think about it, when you're turning the corner on the shortening of the days, and you think about how the sun is starting to come back, and it just really appreciate when you can, when it works for you, when it's healthy to do so, how our ancestors sometimes barely survived the winter, and there were many people who did not survive the winter. And the reason why we celebrate with lights and the reason why we celebrate with gathering together is because it might be the last time we see some of the people. And nothing's really changed, right? Because we still go through the human life cycle of birth, aging, and death. And there's a dismal concept, but if you do have a healthy family and friend group, tell them you love them every day if you can, but at the very least, find a time to tell them that you love them. But you know what? I'm going to move on